All right, we are live. Welcome back, everyone. J-Bone here for Smash This Podcast. Coming at you with something new this evening. I know while everybody's amped up about the go home on the Royal Rumble stuff, here over on Smash This Podcast, we're bringing you something new. I've been meaning to get at this for a few days. Very excited about this. Hey, Blood Rain's in the chat. That was cute, Blood Rain. Thank you. Yeah. And I'm hoping Ring Warriors does come back. I'm working on looking into that soon. Hopefully, sooner than later. Let's cross our fingers and hope for summertime. How about that? We'll hope for that. Because I'm dying to see Killer Cross on there. Let me tell you, as their new champ. I should do a catch-up video on them soon. I really should, because I never talked about the season finale, as it were. So yeah, we're talking about the AxsTV pilot of WoW, Women of Wrestling, episode number 1. Now, I know this isn't season number 1. I know they've had a few seasons before, but I'm very new to this product. I saw a clip the other day, and I recognized someone that used to be a diva in the WWE back in the aggression era, whatever it was. What was that era right after the Attitude era? There was the Ruthless Aggression era, whatever. I don't know. Toothless? No, I'm just kidding. That's something different. But so yeah, I mean, this brand has been around for several years, on and off. Has been on different TV stations. So this is new to AxsTV. And we got some new producers and some we got some new producers and someone who's, I guess, always been with the brand, and that's David McLean. And he used to be with Glow. Like I said, I'm slowly learning about all this. I'm slowly doing some research. I found something on the AxsTV website talking about episode 2. I found part of an article here. I just want to quick read this because it kind of ties into what I was talking about last night as far as different producers having different ownership of different TV personalities. And I'll get into that in a second. Says Los Angeles Lakers owner Jeannie Buss, Mark Burnett. Now there's a familiar name from the background of Lucha Underground. President of MGM Television and Digital Group, and David McLean, the impresario behind the 80s hit TV series Glow. Gorgeous ladies of wrestling have tapped AxsTV to bring the emergency hit series WoW to a wider U.S. TV audience. WoW premieres this that was last Friday. But yeah, so what's cool is about this is they're bringing some of the classic faces that have been, I guess, there since day one-ish, you could say, from the WoW brand. And they're also incorporating a bunch of new faces from the women's independent scene. And, yeah, because I don't know who's all been with this brand for how long, but I do know that the new faces to this brand are ones like Tessa Blanchard, Fire, a.k.a. Kiera Hogan, And I'm sure there's some others. Like I said, I'm still learning. So by the episode, I'm sure I'm going to find out a little more each time. Um, Blood Rain says, "Wow, if WoW was on tonight, that means there's wrestling on Tuesdays again." No, it's on Fridays, which means our Fridays become even more loaded. I mean, I don't watch the New Japan stuff on AxsTV much unless it's a live special. I still record it just in case I'm flipping through stuff. I got nothing else to watch, and I'll, see what's on it. But Impact Wrestling is also on Friday nights. So we got WoW Women of Wrestling and Impact Wrestling. So my Friday nights are loaded. I mean, loaded with wrestling. Says Blood Rain in the chat says, "Hey, it's another place for the women to work. May it last a long time." Well, it's a different entity. What's interesting about this is I saw an interview, or I should say I saw part of an interview the other day with the owner, David McLean, and he actually touched on the subject of making this a touring brand, possibly by, I think he said, this fall. So it looks like they're going to, test out some markets and maybe tour around some of the women from the show. And that'd be tremendous. I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be bigger markets like Florida, New York, Texas, West Coast. This is shot on the West Coast. It's shot in Hollywood at something with a B, something theater. So Demon Rocks is in the chat. What is up? Good evening to you, sir. Jessica Havoc is in WoW. Yeah, I've seen her in little clips, so I'm sure she's going to show up within the next couple weeks. I don't know what her persona is because it looks like there's a lot of different. Oh, well, this girl is on the independent scene, but on this show, they call her something else. So they plan a live special on March 8th. Oh, okay. I haven't heard about that. That'd be cool. I'm assuming it's a Friday. So yeah, let's get into this. So yeah, I watched this on Friday, took notes, but it's getting close to, a half week later, midweek, the following week, and I was like, okay, I better watch this again. So I just got done watching it again, taking a couple more notes, just refreshing my memory on what all happened. Because this first episode, I'll be honest, it's a loaded episode. It really is. If you blink, you miss some good stuff. So this starts out, and the atmosphere, I mean, you can tell. Now, this is constructive criticism. This isn't like me crapping on the show. Please don't take it as that. I come off of this show with a very positive feeling. I was more excited after I watched it the second time than I was the first time. And that says something. If I didn't have that feeling the second time, then I'd be like, okay, something's not right here, and I'd be evaluating it a little more. But I paid attention maybe a little more to this viewing than the last one. I was distracted because the cats and my son was there, and I was seeing what he was doing, and so I wasn't 1,000% focused just on the show, whereas I was tonight. But yeah, this is something that if you're if you're a Lucha Underground fan and you dig the cinematics of it, and you dig the intimate atmosphere. I like using that word for smaller crowds. The more intimate atmosphere of these crowds, then I think you're going to dig this show. You can tell it's heavily edited, but they do that for Lucha Underground as well. It's just got a little different feel to it because the Lucha Underground set is, gritty and dirty. And, the building you can tell is kind of like old and dilapidated. And, so and I've said that before. It's like the temple itself, wherever it was, the first 3 seasons or this last one, that temple is a character in itself in the show. Where they shoot this, I have a feeling it's going to be the same thing because every episode is going to be in this scenario. It's not like Impact Wrestling where they're doing these shows and they're like doing taping at this place, or MLW for that same matter. Every episode, from what it looks like, is going to be in this place. So, like I said, this theater, this intimate atmosphere in itself is going to become a character in itself. Where they're shooting this, we're going to get very accustomed to this place. It almost, sometimes when they were spinning the camera around, it almost felt like the old Raw, when Raw first started and it was in that small New York theater. It almost felt like that. Almost. I don't know. Something hit me while I was watching it. I was like, wow. And I just had like a flashback to that old footage of, people showing up on Raw for the first episode. But yeah, let's get into this. I'll check out the chat in a little bit. You guys keep chatting it up. Great to see you all here. And don't forget, folks, smash that like button, smash that sub button if you're new to the product. I'm expecting to see a few new faces here just because this is something brand new on this channel. So I'm excited about this. So we started with David McLane, who, like I said, he's the head guy in WoW, from what it sounds like. Like I said, I'm still learning names and faces and who's who and whatnot. But it sounds like he's the guy who's been around with this brand for quite some time. So he's in the ring and he's introducing the WoW Women's World Champion, Santana Garrett. And she comes out and she's just like how I've seen her so many times before. She just lights up the place. And I actually had the pleasure of meeting her a handful of years ago at Global Force Wrestling, when it was at Appleton, Wisconsin, a few hours north of here, when they were on that stadium tour. She was part of the show, and she was very nice. And I got a picture with her that night, and that is one of the memories I'll always remember from. I mean, everyone I met that day was genuinely awesome, from the guys from the Bullet Club to Colt Cabanas to Santana Garrett to Dare Wolf, everyone that day, even Jeff Jarrett himself. That is still, to this day, in my life, one of the best wrestling experiences I ever had, I got to say. Top to bottom, ton of fun. Definitely worth the trip that day. So, yeah, Santana Garrett comes out, and she's talking about, and she's getting real emotional as she's talking here, and she's talking about how her dad is there, very honored to have him present, and I guess his health has not been good, so it's even more special that he got to be present for this show. TNT Kenny G was his name. No, not the Kenny G. It's the piccolo player from the 80s or whatever the heck he played. I don't know. He played clarinet, something. I don't know. Different Kenny G. This guy was a wrestler back in the day. And they go into more detail about that later in the episode too, which is nice. And then they are interrupted by the Diamond, someone who's had quite a year last year in 2018 in her rise to fame in the professional wrestling scene. Miss Tessa Blanchard comes out, interrupts the celebration, and you guys, is Santana still married? I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't know she was married. I have no idea. You'll have to Google that one, Demon Rocks. Well, she comes out and they're going back and forth, and she's talking about the legacy of her family. And then she starts in with the insults saying that Kenny G used to work for her grandfather back in the day. She's a third generation wrestler, Tessa, and that Kenny probably carried her father's bags. And, and then, okay, the tension's really building. It's getting nasty, and getting down to it. The point of her being there is she announces that she's going after the WOW Women's Championship that is around Santana Garrett's waist. And David McLane makes a point of saying, well, you need to earn that. You can't just come in here and thinking you're just, because of who you are, going to get a spot or get a shot, at the championship. So, yeah, that was an intense first spot, and it was a great start to see, who's on top in this brand and who is also going to be the top heel or one of the top heels in this brand. Someone who's got some name recognition behind her. So yeah, very excited about this feud. Next, we've got a match between the Beast versus Steffi Slays, aka, I don't remember who said it in my chat yesterday, said Steffi Slays is Nicole Savoy. And I had to remind myself, so I looked it up, and as soon as I saw one of the pictures in my Google search, I was reminded that she was part of, I believe, the first Mae Young Classic. And I was like, oh yeah. So the name, hey, thanks, Matrix. Much love, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the sub. So I don't remember, who she faced in the Mae Young Classic, but I did recognize the face and I did recognize the name. So I was like, okay, so there's another name with some recognition that's going to be a part of this brand now. And like I said, I don't know how long she was a part of this before. And they made a point to say how these two faced off before. So this is actually a rematch. Apparently the first matchup didn't go too well for Steffi Slays. She's very bouncy, very bubbly. And the Beast, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The Beast reminds me of a cross between Jazz and Nia Jax as far as power. She just tossed Steffi Slays around like a rag doll. My first response was to call this a squash match, but squash matches like end within like 10 seconds. This one lasted a while, but a majority of it was the Beast just knocking her around, and she gets another win. It says, ew, Nia Jax. More like Awesome Kong, perhaps. Okay, if you want to go that route, that's fine. If you want to pick a name from another brand, that's fine. I'm just thinking power-wise, okay? Okay. So. But anyways, good match. I mean, and that's one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is because, I mean, that's one thing that I went into this kind of I don't want to say I was judging right off the bat, but I was very curious to see how the wrestling was going to be. Was it going to be like the classic Days of Glow, where it was a lot of just slapping and hair pulling and stuff like that? I mean, a lot of that is real blurry. I remember watching that as a little kid growing up. Yes, I'm really dating myself here. But I remember a lot of hair pulling and a lot of just crazy character promos. And you know, it's more the craziness behind it, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I gotta say, throughout this entire first episode, I was very impressed with the wrestling. Now, you could tell that, like I said, a big part of this series and the uniqueness of it is how it was shot. So you're going to get all the right camera angles that you have to get to see, say, someone like later in this episode, where Abilene Maverick, aka Barbie Hayden, was talking to the ref and trying to explain to him that whatever she, did illegally, it was like purely an accident. She was very dramatic, like, oh, I won't do that again. She was very, very dramatic. Whereas you're not going to see that on the women of the knockouts of Impact Wrestling, or even the women of WWE, unless it's some crazy charismatic character. So a lot of that stuff was a lot more pronounced in this show, but it was just to, a lot of this episode was character definition as well. You're getting introduced to a lot of new characters, a lot of new faces. Well, some new faces. I mean, I knew I'd say about half of the faces of the show going into this, which was nice. It wasn't just, okay, we got a bunch of women I've never seen before, I hope it's good. No, I knew at least half the women on the shows that I was going into. So I was excited for that. It was just a matter of saying, okay, what's everyone else going to do? How is this whole thing going to, mesh? How's this whole thing going to click together? But yeah, that first match, the Beast, just wow. And she's a woman of few words. You're not going to see the Beast in the ring cut a 20-minute promo. She's like, I'm the biggest, I'm the baddest, I'm the Beast. Boom, period. End of promo. And everyone's just like, oh my God. It's just I was impressed. I really was, I gotta say. Next, we get a very cinematic promo from Kiera Hogan, aka in this show, she's called just fire. And which is perfect because, I mean, if you look at her hair, it's the first adjective that comes, or adjective, or oh God, my old English terms are escaping me now. Noun, adjective, adverb, fiery, adjective. I think so. God, oh my God, I think I just like blew half my brain cells trying to remember that. Whew. So yeah, I mean, you look at her hair and you instantly think fire. It's, you know, she's got the bright orange, reddish, yellowish hair. She's seen a lot on the indie scene, especially on Impact Wrestling. Wow. Which you see a lot on this channel. So, and she talks about how she grew up being bullied, and that professional wrestling was like very therapeutic for her, how she got through all of her stuff. And so yeah, it was cool to see that. I mean, it was right after I saw this promo that I was like, okay, this show is going to be, you know, a link in a sense to around the likes of Lucha Underground, where you're going to see cinematic stuff, not just, okay, we had a match, now we had a scene backstage in an intimate setting, in some dingy locker room or something. No, it's going to be, you're going to see stuff outside of this setting, which is refreshing to see. So it's, you know, it's building up this character of Fire, who then we saw next in the ring with someone new to me as well. I've heard the name before, just hadn't seen a lot of matches. Abilene Maverick, the governor's daughter, aka Barbie Hayden. And so I knew this one was going to be a good match, because I've seen a lot of Kiera Hogan's matches over the last couple of years in Impact Wrestling, and she's someone who I've been critical of before, but she what's up, Andre? Good to see you here, buddy. You can't find WoW up. Oh, because you're up in Canada. Oh, man. Feel free to post this. Will do, man. I'll put this on. If you don't catch all this now while we're live, I will repost the replay of this over on wrestlingwithwrestling.com. Will do, Andre. And by all means, check out all the other awesome stuff that so many people have been putting on that site, all related to the world of professional wrestling, covering the four corners. So yeah, this match between Fire and Abilene Maverick, I absolutely loved it. What made me the most excited for this was, I always love it when you see an old throwback move used as a finisher that you don't see, because maybe it's used a lot someplace else, but it's not used as a finisher. Abilene Maverick used the rope hung DVT. I wrote down a la Randy Orton. You know, when he's got the guy sitting on the second rope and then, you know, gives him a DDT. That's her finisher, with the exception of Kiera Hogan, excuse me, well, Fire was on the top rope. So it's even more of a drop. So the fact that she beat her with that, I was like, Bravo. I mean, I just thought that was cool because you just don't see the DDT used a lot. You saw it a lot more back in the day, say, a la Raven or Jake the Snake Roberts. I don't think I've seen anyone recently that, off the top of my head, that I can think of use the DDT. So that I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, I saw that tweet, Blood Rain. That was interesting. I don't know what she was I don't know what she was talking about. I'm sure a lot of people misconstrued that one. So wow, you guys are really chatting it up. And I'll read everything after the fact later. But thanks everyone for being here. That's pretty cool. Like I said, Andre, I will post this later on wrestlingwithwrestling.com. So Abilene Maverick, the governor's daughter, defeats Fire. Which was surprising because after you see the promo of Fire, you kind of thought, okay, that's, a little oomph going into this match. But, Abilene gets a win. Fire gets a promo. They both kind of win in the show, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? So, next, we get a backstage segment, which this was the highlight of the show for me. This little backstage segment, and it just had me absolutely rolling. I almost damn near fell out of my chair, and I laughed even harder when I rewatched it right before I went live tonight. We've got this segment where a doctor is backstage in a little hallway on a bench, and he's looking over Steffi Slays, because she really got the crap kicked out of her by the Beast. And Abilene Maverick comes backstage after her match, and she's just running her mouth and just shooting her mouth off. And down the hallway, and you can see her coming a mile away because of what she's wearing. She's got this white poofy negligee robe and just very feathery. So right off the bat, very noticeable. And she's coming down the hallway, and takes Abilene Maverick's head, boom, bounces it right off the wall and goes, "Excuse me, Chloe coming through." And it's Katie Forbes, aka Chloe Hertz, in this show. And it was one of those things where it was, you don't hit your little rewind button much during the show unless sometimes you see something really funny and rewind it a bunch of times. This is one of those moments, okay? Because I could have watched her bounce Abilene Maverick's head off this wall like all day. I was just reminded me of the charisma of one Scarlett Bordeaux of Impact Wrestling, infamous for her statement, "Shut up, 10." Or no, what does she say? Oh, I screwed it up. Wow. "Shut up, 5. A 10 is talking." Something to that matter. Boom, coming through. Oh, man. So, and I've seen a lot of Katie Forbes, aka Chloe Hertz, from the show on social media. I haven't seen a lot of her wrestling though. So I was looking forward to this as well. I was like, oh man, okay. So I've seen her in the news. I've seen her on social media. She's tied to RVD. I don't know if she's married to him yet, but I know she's with him. So, she's also called, where did I write it down here? Oh, the all-natural Chloe Hertz. That was natural. Okay, I got it. The W in the chat says RVD 420. Yes, 420. Who announces for WoW? Are you talking about ringside announcing? One of them is David McLean, the guy who was also started out the show. Natural Shane Douglas. No, not Shane Douglas. And I heard a couple names mentioned at ringside, but I wasn't paying attention to them. And I don't believe they were shown on camera either. I believe like the camera like breezed past them, but they didn't do any like focused ringside state, where they, just put the camera on Graves and Michael Cole or Don Callis and Josh Matthews. There were none of those segments. The only segments that you saw from anyone else besides the wrestlers was David McLean in the ring with Santana Garrett and Tessa Blanchard at the beginning of the show. But it sounds like 2 guys and 1 girl. So I'll try to pay better attention to that next show. I'm sure they mentioned it during the show. I just didn't write it down. I was more focused on, everything else. Because like I said, this was a loaded show. So yeah, Chloe Hertz comes out, the all-natural Chloe Hertz. Oh, and she's brought out, I believe she was carried to the ring by a group of guys they called the Ring Rats, which I thought was absolutely hilarious because that's one thing you hear about once in a while is the infamous backstage actions of professional wrestlers and the people that follow them around, or the groupies many times are called the Ring Rats. And so Chloe had her own bunch of very model type gentlemen bringing her to the ring. And those were her Ring Rats. And I just thought that was hilarious. A little spin on the typical, instead of women to men, it was men to women. I just thought it was hilarious. I loved it. So, the W says the Who's. Yeah. So, so she's brought out, and then out comes her opponent, Eye Candy. And I absolutely loved Eye Candy. I couldn't remember for the life of me what she reminded me of. Kind of like a Bailey or an old Alley type character, very bubbly, but she had more the athleticism of someone like Willie Mack, And these two had just a great match. And Eye Candy won this match from a top rope moonsault. Before that, she nailed Chloe Hertz with a Death Valley driver. And then as she was knocked out from that, she did the top rope moonsault and won the match. But this was a great match, honestly. So I was impressed with both. Love the charisma of both these girls, especially Eye Candy. And I can't wait to see more from these two. So then we get a very interesting chat lag. David McLean did announce for Glow. Been years since I heard his voice. Yeah, he was tied to Glow. I did mention that earlier. But yeah, I haven't seen that show in so long. My goodness. And but now it makes me want to watch the Netflix series even more. I watched the first episode of the first season and I dug it. I just never got back to it. But now it makes me want to like watch even more because I'm very curious to see, you know, how they portrayed that back then. So, I don't know if he's going to be in there or not. I have no clue, but we'll see. Or someone, you know, playing him. I don't know. But next we get a very cinematic type promo, and this is done in like an upper, like some penthouse type suite, but it's a very haunting setting. A lot of candles, the wind's whipping. It's just a dark, eerie setting, and lots of windows behind this woman who goes by the name of Siren, the Voodoo Doll. And she talks about how she's coming soon to W.O.W, you know, and I don't remember exactly what she said. It was more, I'd have to go back and actually listen to it just because her look and everything going on around her was very, I don't want to say distracting, but for lack of better words, I'll say distracting. But basically just saying that she's coming very soon to W.O.W. So I'm sure she'll be showing up. If I had to compare her to anything right off the bat, it was very, it was, what did I write down here? Oh, Bray. I wrote down Bray Wyatt-ish. Just how, you know, like she seemed like she was from down south with like a voodoo queen look to her with the braids and the dreads and the different colored hair and stuff. Kind of talked like Bray Wyatt did, kind of like preaching or professing in a sense. So yeah, very curious to see what she's going to do in the future episodes of WoW. Then we get a preview of what's going on next week. Looks like the rivalry between Santana Garrett and Tessa Blanchard is heating up even more. And they also mentioned that we're going to get the Aussie Princess and the rest of her Aussie tribe is going to be gracing us with their presence in the ring next week. So watch for that. Then the main event is former champ Jungle Girl, who apparently has never been beaten in, I almost said Glow, in WoW. And when she did lose, her championship, which apparently was in the last season, it looked like it must have been like a three-way. I'm guessing it was Santana Garrett, Jungle Girl, and I don't know who the third one was. Some blonde. I didn't catch who it was in the ring. But apparently Jungle Girl was not the one who was pinned in the ring. So she obviously wants her championship back. What's like what? I don't know where you're getting that, but okay. Reading a couple other comments here. Holly Dead. Yes, Holly Dead and her tag team partner in the indie scene, Thunder Rosa, but on the show, she's Cobra Moon, which is what I was talking about last night or a couple nights ago. was wondering how they would have that entity, which is a Lucha Underground entity, on this show. It's because it's MGM. It's Mark Burnett. They own the entity. So they can take something from this show, stick it on this show, and it fits. It totally fits. Because there are some different characters on this show, as we've seen so many different ones on this show. And they're great. They're great. They really are. So we get Jungle Girl, and we do a little background look at with her and her son, and just a little background look, to see who's, and that's we get that a few times in this show, which is great. They do Santana Garrett, Kiera Hogan, aka Fire, and I think they did one more. I feel like I'm missing one. Maybe not. But it's nice because, there are a lot of new eyes, a lot of on this product with a lot of new faces, like Jungle Girl. I've seen her before, but I know nothing about her. So it was nice to get a little background on her so that when she comes to the ring, you kind of feel like you know her. And they did a classic reference to her while she was in the ring as well. And how she carries herself in the ring is very evident of this. A classic inspiration for her must be from in the ring is Jimmy Superfly Snuka. David McLean made a point to bring that up, and I was a little, just a little. I wasn't like some people get so triggered by the littlest thing and they go, "Oh my God, I can't believe they said that." Oh, no, I'm not doing that at all. Trust me. Besides, that sounds absolutely ridiculous. Your face would start to hurt and everything, and I don't want to do that in my video a lot. So, no, I just know that the name does carry some weight behind it in a negative sense. But me being an older wrestling fan growing up, and the first wrestling I ever saw was the Rock and Wrestling era, a la Hogan, Orton, Snuka, Santana, Steamboat, all those guys. I think fondly, first of all, when I hear that name. I don't think of all the negative connotations that people bring up over the years. But to each their own. Some people are going to get triggered by that reference, whatever, then they are. Then that's on them. When I heard that reference about Jungle Girl, I was like, oh, I instantly thought of a classic thing, and it was a positive for me. And Jungle Girl had a great match with Santana Garrett, but it ends strangely because all of a sudden out of the corner of the screen, you see out come Tessa Blanchard, and David McLean from this point on is just losing his mind announcing. It's almost kind of funny. Almost like Joey Styles losing it. His voice goes way up there. Not even going to try to imitate it. It would be horrible. But they do have a great match. Tessa Blanchard comes out and attacks Santana Garrett's oxygen using father, Kenny G. And she grabs an oxygen hose that's like around his ears and goes, into his nose, and it goes down, obviously, to like a tank or whatever, some kind of oxygen source. And she grabs the hose, and you can tell she's bending the hose. And she's like, wanting to get Santana Garrett's attention. Obviously, she got it. And I didn't notice this the first time. I'm glad I rewatched this, because watching Santana's father, Kenny G, it was honestly a little funny, because he was kind of like, just kind of like flailing around, like, like, I can't breathe. You shouldn't laugh, but he was playing it up. He really was. And it was great. And and then when Santana let go, or excuse me, when Tessa let go of her father and the oxygen hose, and these two got into it outside, Kenny G falls back in his chair and he's all you can tell he's been in the business. He knew what to do. He knew how to react to all this. It was perfect. And then everything happened so fast. But Santana Garrett gets counted out. So she actually loses this match to Jungle Girl. So then Tessa gets in the ring then with Santana Garrett. They're going at it. Jungle Girl is pissed. She confronts Tessa, then throws her out of the ring. The crowd is just going nuts at this point. And and then all of a sudden, as the camera's focused on Jungle Girl looking at Tessa on the outside, and Tessa's just shook by this. She was like, wasn't expecting this from Jungle Girl at all. In comes the Beast that we saw earlier in the episode, and she goes nose to nose with Jungle Girl, and then the ring is flooded by I believe it was referees and or security. I believe it was just referees, but they were, holding each of the girls back. So there's obviously a new rivalry that's sparked as the Beast is going after Jungle Girl. The rivalry between Tessa and Santana is, enraged even more because of what Tessa did to Santana's father. And David McLane is just losing his ever-loving mind at ringside, screaming as, we're running out of TV time. It's like, there's just so much going on at the end of the episode. It's like I said, if you blink, you miss something. But, wow. So that's where the episode ends. He's losing his mind. Tessa's at ringside. She's shook. Santana Garrett's down. And the refs are keeping Jungle Girl and the Beast from, killing each other. So, so that's the end of the episode. Tremendous episode for a debut of a brand that I've heard of before. Like, I subbed to the YouTube channel of WoW 4 or 5 years ago, and then even got a message from them saying, hey, thanks for subbing. It was, back when you could communicate like behind the whatever, through the back door of YouTube, I guess you could call it, whatever. I don't know. Which I don't think you can even do anymore. Now they call it community. So I don't know. Maybe you still can. I just don't use it much. Or maybe you get more privileges as you get more subs to your channel or something. So, but anyways, and I think I used to see it on my TV years ago, and I tried recording it, but there was something else in its slot, and I don't remember. That was at least 4 or 5 years ago. And I think maybe Jimmy Hart was even tied to it somehow. I don't know. That's all fuzzy. But anyways, but now they're on AxsTV Friday nights. Like I said, my Friday nights are now loaded. We got WoW for an hour, and then following that on Twitch, we got Impact Wrestling. So that's a grand slam of an evening for me. Totally. I'm digging it. So, so what I'm going to try to do, and this will happen about every other week, is I'll try to, I'll obviously be watching both, but I'll usually review my impact following the show, and then if it's a weekend when I don't have my kids, which is every other weekend, I'll review WoW somewhere over the course of the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. If not, I'll do it later in the week like I did tonight. Either way, this is a show I will absolutely be reviewing on a regular basis. I loved it. The wrestling was great. Like I said, if you are a fan of Lucha Underground, I can almost guarantee you're going to dig this, because you'll appreciate the backstage or outside promos that they put in between the matches with this, which it's unique, and not. And I know I've heard, people criticize Lucha Underground in the past, and it's not their cup of tea. They're used to, WWE type product. And when you throw in something supernatural or something different, it's kind of, what's this? Yeah, well, to each their own. But I'm loving this. It's great to see some new faces in the world of wrestling. This is a great time for women's wrestling. There's a lot of different stuff going on a lot of different brands, and now we have a show completely dedicated to women with male ring rats. I had to throw that in there. I thought it was funny. So let me know what you thought of this show. And if you're watching this after the fact, or you came in late and couldn't see all of this live, this will be on wrestlingwithwrestling.com. You can watch the replay there along with everything else great that's on that channel in the world of the world that Andre Corbeil has created over there. And good family of podcasters and reviewers and the such. All sorts of brands there. You can catch everything there, from the indies, the WWE, Impact, everything and anything. So go check it out. So, yeah, maybe this will, because, it's funny. When I became part of the Wrestling with Wrestling.com family, I was doing Lucha Underground. I was doing MLW. And, oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. I was doing something else. Oh, House of Hardcore. But we don't have Lucha Underground right now. We don't know when season 5 is coming around, or even if it's coming. Honestly, I think AxsTV would be a great fit, because then you could have Lucha Underground and this entity both on the same channel, a Mark Burnett product, right? I think it makes sense. So in some of those, that I'm not reviewing currently and putting on that website, it makes me feel a little bad that I'm not putting as much on that website. So it would make sense for me to maybe then going forward, maybe I'll start putting my WoW Women of Wrestling reviews on wrestlingwithwrestling.com. That's a lot of W's. Oh, geez. So yeah, going forward, I think, just made a made a corporate decision live here on YouTube for Smash This Podcast. Goofy much? So thanks for joining. Like I said, the replay will be over there at wrestlingwithwrestling.com. Go check that out. There's some other links in the description as well. Want to quick go over those. The rantwithant.com family is growing a lot this year. Very proud to be a part of it, especially part of iTunes. That's right. J-Bone and Smash's podcast is on iTunes for my Impact Wrestling reviews. Go check it out, being part of the Wrestle Addict Radio. Go look for that over on rantwithant.com. You'll see all the links and the rest of the family over there. Bunch of tremendous new podcasts that I'm starting to become affiliated with. Great family. And if you want some free stuff, and I know you love free stuff, I do too. Down in the description, smash. Oh my God, I always forget the code. There go a couple more brain cells. Smash this free. Use that for the code if you want a free month of powerslam.tv, website up and coming that has an absolute ton of wrestling on it. Lots of great indie and classic wrestling content. So, and I'm going to be starting this week within the next couple days, going to be reviewing stuff on there. I'm still rattling it around in my head, deciding what I'm going to review, but I'll make up my mind within the next 24 hours on that, I promise. Because I feel bad because, we're, 2/3 the way through January and I still haven't done anything, and I promised them I would. It's, part of the deal I have with them. But rantwithant.com is also taking advantage of that as well, and they'll be partnering with them as well. So keep an eye out for that in the future too. What else? Oh, merch. Baby, it's cold outside. Yeah, I know that's a Christmas song. Get over it. But it is cold outside, and I know it's snowing like mad around here in the Midwest. You want a Smash This Podcast sweatshirt to warm you up these cold, frigid days, or maybe you live somewhere south or somewhere else where it's a little warmer. There's t-shirts and tanks in the description, the link in the description. So go check that out if you want to support Smash This Podcast. If you do buy some merch, a t-shirt, sweatshirt, or tank or whatever, take a pic, hit me up on social media. All my links are down there as well. Send me it. I'll share the heck out of it. It would make my day. So, Blood Rain says it's 68 with rain on the way here. It's like below freezing and we're getting a foot of snow. You can take your 68 degrees and